Welcome to the Wellness Law Podcast, where wellness and the law meet for contemplation and collaboration. This podcast is brought to you by the Center for Health and Wellness Law. I am your host, Barbara Zabawa. Welcome to the Wellness Law Podcast. Today, my guest is Amy Boone Thompson. She is the owner and CEO of IdeaFit, which has an audience of over 303,000 people who are fitness and wellness professionals. Amy, welcome to the Wellness Law Podcast.
Thank you.
So let's start with your background and how you started with IdeaFit.
Sure. Well, many would know Idea Health and Fitness Association because the association is over 43 years old now. It was founded in 1982. And I was a member when I first moved to California and I was personal training. I heard about the association and immediately joined and started reading all of the publications, the magazines, and then attending events. So I've been a member since 1995. 97, that would be 97. But then my story of ownership came later. I was actually running the organization as the VP. And then the pandemic happened. Things were crazy. Our publications had to all be converted to digital. Our events all had to be converted to virtual. And it was a crazy and chaotic time. And so I asked at that time if I could acquire the association and be its steward into the future. And they said yes. So that was 3 years ago. So now I've been the owner of Idea for 3 years.
Wow. Well, congratulations. And yeah, it's an incredible resource for the fitness and wellness industry. So thank you for doing what you do. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the resources that Idea Fitness offers. But before we do that, what is Idea Fit's mission? Who are its members?
Yeah, so our mission, simply put, is to inspire the world to fitness. And we do that by inspiring the careers of fitness professionals. So at our core, our member is any fitness professional, club or studio owner, operator, and a variety of allied health professionals belong to our association. So we have nutritionists, PE teachers, athletic trainers, strength coaches, and then, of course, personal trainers, group X instructors, mind-body professionals. The list goes on, but we support them with a variety of business resources and continuing education to keep them abreast of all the developments and the latest research and science in our industry.
Great. So I assume you have, as far as the way you offer this information to your members, various ways of doing that, maybe in-person programs, webinars, content on your website.
Yeah, exactly. So our members have over 15,000 articles now at their fingertips on our website. And that's from Idea Fitness Journal, which is our most notable publication. And then we also have about 900 courses. So the pros can come in and say, you know what, I just got a client who has Alzheimer's and I don't know how to work with a client with Alzheimer's. So they can go in, research, they can learn about not only the science related to an area that you may need development, but also hear from other fitness professionals of how they're working with clients, what kinds of considerations might you need to take. If there's additional advanced certificates you could earn that help you become better at that situation, those are all available online. But we also have lots of in-person events. We do 3 here in the US each year, and we do 1 in South Korea with our partners in South Korea. So the event that most people have probably heard about is called Idea World. It's our flagship event. It brings together thousands of fitness professionals from all over the world. And that's happening this summer in Sacramento, July 17th through the 19th.
Oh, Sacramento. That's a venue that I haven't heard of very often for events. So great. Kudos to IdeaFit for having something unique in that respect. Speaking of other benefits for IdeaFit members, in addition to your education, you offer other types of valuable benefits for your members. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So We offer liability insurance. It's personal professional liability insurance for every professional. So whether you are a 1099, whether you are a W-2, for sure you need your own personal professional liability insurance. But if you're a business owner, then you need insurance for your business. And so we offer club and studio insurance, we offer liability insurance, and we also offer health insurance for Fit Pros, whether you're independent or you own your own business, or even if you have employees.
So you can actually, if you own a fitness studio or yoga studio and you have some employees, you could get health coverage for you and your employees through your membership with IdeaFit.
Yes.
That's really great. So for the organizational insurance, you mentioned fitness studios, I assume yoga studios. What about people who maybe have a Reiki practice, for example, an integrative health practice?
Yeah, so nearly every allied health profession we can cover, and we also cover online businesses, which is most insurance companies aren't covering your online services. So that's really of interest. But yeah, we even cover lifeguards, referees, a lot of different professionals in the aquatic space, tennis pros. So there's not much we can't do with our partnership with Locked In, but we have a service line. Certainly, if you have questions about coverage or if you're not sure, a lot of our trainers work with kids and you want to have extra protection when you're working with children. So, those are areas where I would recommend calling our service line, telling them about your business, and make sure that you get the best coverage for what it is you do and who it is you work with.
Can you give some other examples of how your insurance, professional liability, or the organizational general liability insurance differs from other products that might be out in the marketplace?
Yeah, I think the biggest differentiation is that we curated this program with our partners at Locked In over many years of them understanding our profession and the needs of our professionals. So this program was built for fitness professionals. And again, that expands over allied professions. But they really truly do understand what it is we do and the risk that they're taking on by insuring our professionals. That I think is the biggest differentiator. Not all insurance programs are created alike. Not all understand what it is you're going to be doing on a daily basis. And that's really where we shine because it is for fitness professionals, it is for independent contractors, and it is for small club and studio businesses as well.
Do you have any of your policyholders, people who are licensed healthcare professionals, but also do some wellness services? Or is it just strictly people who are maybe not licensed healthcare professionals?
That's a great question as far as certification versus licensure. We don't actually verify the license or the certificate when we're providing a policy. It's more about what it is you're going to be doing and what the role would include. I'm sure we have people who are doing both, and maybe they have a practice at home or online in addition to being an RN, as an example. Perhaps this wouldn't be the best policy for you in your role as RN, but if you're
Right.
doing online services, that could for sure cover you for those.
Another group of wellness practitioners that could look at your insurance offerings are health and wellness coaches, for example.
Absolutely. Help coaches, again, anywhere in the nutrition space. We have behavior change coaches, a lot of different professionals that are getting our policy. The really cool thing about our policy is when you belong to IDEA, we have a very large group which is purchasing these policies. So your cost is significantly reduced because you're part of our large program. So our professionals are getting really high coverage at as low as $91 a year for your professional liability insurance. So it's very low cost when you work with an association like ours. And also, I think, again, I would reiterate that every professional should have this because I know we want to talk about some examples of when they might need it. You are putting, anytime you're working with any client, you are putting yourself at risk for being potentially sued, sadly, in our society. And first, as an employee, someone might try to sue your gym or its operators, owners. But after that, they're going to come to the professional that was working with that individual or was teaching or coaching that person. So we always recommend have your own blanket policy in addition to whatever's provided by your employer.
Yeah, interesting. And you're right. I mean, whenever there's some kind of negligence, it's the organization and the individuals involved that are listed on the complaint from the legal complaint. So now that we're starting that conversation about legal risks from your perspective in your role in the health and fitness industry for as long as you've been in it, what have you seen to be the biggest legal risks and how can they mitigate those?
Well, one of the biggest risks is that we work in a variety of different environments with lots of moving parts, if you will. So pieces of equipment are being moved all over in a facility. Members run a risk of tripping on something or just walking into some moving apparatus. So there's always this varying environment. And then I know a lot of our professionals work in their own garage or at a park. I used to teach stroller fitness classes at parks here in San Diego, and we would show up at a park and there would be drug paraphernalia or there would be homeless people hanging out on the bench. And to navigate that as a professional, both the environment, but also all the varying types of situations that you come up against, those are examples of how our role and our job is probably different to a lot of work environments. We work in people's homes. So think about if you're going to someone else's home or if you're inviting someone into your home and they maybe your equipment might be broken or their equipment might break. You, as the professional, still could be held liable if something breaks when you're in the middle of an exercise session. So, again, varying environments, moving parts, lots of heavy things we throw around, and that just leads to more accidents.
Yeah. That's You raise a lot of good points, and I think if I had to sum up what I heard you saying is, because of the type of work health and fitness professionals do, they have to be aware of the environment in which they're doing it, and particularly the environment in which the people they're helping are
Yes.
doing it. And so you could translate you mentioned sometimes fitness professionals go into people's homes. We think of when you say that, we think of, oh, they're going in there as in person into their homes. But I heard a story not too long ago about when people are doing fitness training online with their clients because the virtual world allows us to do so much online, like we're talking right now.
Yeah.
Uh, that if you are helping someone through an exercise routine virtually, there's been instances, I don't think a lot, but more than once where the client is in their living room and the fitness professional can see a trip hazard and doesn't say anything. And then the client does, in fact, trip over a cord or something that that fitness professional could possibly be held liable because they didn't say anything, being keenly aware of how your client is operating in the whatever environment, whether it's outside, inside the home, inside your studio, is really, really important to keep.
Exactly. And even if you're not coaching movement, if you're a health coach or a behavior coach, for example, or a nutritionist, there's still risk involved with the coaching and advice that you're giving. And so if someone has a reaction to something that was on there, you could potentially be liable. So we just inform like everyone should have their own professional liability policy. It's as low as $91 a year and it gives you over $1 million of protection. When they come to our organization, it's the very first thing we tell them is like, you get your qualification and you get your insurance, and now you're ready to work.
Yeah. Do you ever talk to any of your members or like through educational programs or something about not only having insurance, but having a good solid agreement with your client with language that is just very clear about your role and the risks involved, and so there's assumption of risk statements, there's waivers and disclaimers. Do you ever talk or educate your members about those kinds of approaches to mitigating?
We do. In fact, we provide some templates that pros could pick up and use. We always encourage them to get advice from their own legal entity if they are going to use them in their business. But we provide a template of a good intake form, a good assumption of risk form that they can use. I remember early in when I started my career in the 90s, like we had so many forms people had to fill out. It was just these long, long forms because that was when people first started getting sued. Clubs were being sued for people's injuries, et cetera. So I think that we as an industry have gotten the terminology pretty precise now. And there is a lot of assumption of risk that people take when they choose to participate in an exercise program. But you, as the professional, again, are still held liable potentially if someone has an event, an emergency, if they have an injury while you're training them. It could be something pre existing, it could be something that maybe you didn't cover in your intake that you weren't even aware of, but you could be potentially liable. Again, if you hadn't covered it, didn't ask it, don't have good waivers in place, that all adds to your risk as a professional.
Yeah. And so if that happens to a member where, maybe they find themselves in a situation where they didn't ask all the questions or something unexpected occurred and they find themselves a little bit frightened, a little bit anxious about, oh, what do I do? What kind of resources can you point to your members if they find themselves in that position?
So I know we've covered some response, like as a professional, we've covered some of those through our fitness journal and articles, but our insurance partner would really step in and help that professional through that process. They would be the ones that would, if they had a policy, the insurance company could reach out and provide some guidance through that situation. But yeah, I think there is a lot of information that could be more preventative in nature, or what if this were to happen? But when something really did happen, we would encourage them to talk to their insurance provider partner. And also, if you did have your own need for legal advice, that you should find that person who can support you.
Insurance is so important. I mean, it's such a valuable resource on so many levels. I mean, not only is it preventive, but then if something happens, it can also provide you
Yeah.
resources to help guide you through situations and has connections to the legal community too, often. So it's great.
And I think we're collaborating on some content as well, so that you're going to be providing some guidance for Fit Pros through our platform as well. So we're excited to have your expertise.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled to get in front of your community. It sounds like, it's a long-standing, very reputable community for wellness. So, and I'm all about that. Speaking of the wellness industry, I'm curious, as someone who's been in it for a while, what direction would you like to see it take in the future? Wellness, that is.
Sure. So I've been doing a lot of advocacy. Because of the pandemic, we know we lost a lot of fitness professionals who their businesses were decimated, brick and mortar was shut down. People couldn't make a living training anymore. So we lost a lot of professionals from the industry. Now that's turning around and it's coming back, and Fit Pros are finding more work. Some Fit Pros come to our profession because it's a good gig economy. It's great to do around other full time careers. It's great to do around families. It's very flexible. But then other people come because they want to make a great living and they want to work full time and have benefits and have health insurance and all the things that any other job would provide. So, what I see near term is really supporting the growth of our profession. And I do that globally. So, I'm working with World Active, which is we formed an association for all associations globally who are focused on physical activity, movement, wellness, and health. And we're bringing these organizations together to be better advocates for our profession, and also so we can align to be someone to point to for partners like World Health Organization and others who are stakeholders in this important initiative of moving forward our health outcomes. So short term, we're getting people back to work, helping them, providing continuing ed, making sure people have jobs and that employers can find these talented Fit Pros. but long term, really ensuring that our professionals have valid and reliable careers with all the benefits that they should enjoy to keep inspiring other people, right? Yeah.
I hadn't heard of this World Active. Thank you for bringing it up. I didn't know that this initiative was going on, but it's really nice to hear. And one thing that I would like to weave in, just because I'm passionate about it, is not it, to help solidify the wellness trend. I just read an article this morning from Business Insider that Gen Z and millennials are really investing a lot in wellness, that it's something very important to them. And I contrast that with healthcare because healthcare has some issue that prevent it from doing a good job in addressing a lot of the well-being needs of individuals, communities. And so because of that, I would like to see the wellness industry also, maybe through this World Active initiative, adopt some universally accepted standards
Yeah.
that pervade across all different types of wellness because it's very broad. And so you have pockets of wellness that may have their own code of ethics or standards, but it's not universal. And I'd like to see more of that so that it can move beyond some of the stigma that also exists in wellness because of individuals that maybe take advantage of vulnerable individuals and have kind of created a bit of a bad name for some wellness practices. And I'd like to see this how standards and more ethical codes could elevate wellness into something that is seen as trustworthy and valuable because it is, and detracts from those newsworthy charlatans and snake oil types of practices that kind of bring down the industry in a way.
Yeah. So years and years ago, when IDEA was founded, we created a code of ethics that we live by. And there's three pieces to it. There's a code of ethics for our fitness instructors. There's one for personal trainers, one for business owners and operators. So in addition to that, we've also added now our equity and inclusion pledge and commitments. But we take this code of ethics very seriously in that if you belong to our association, we live by these values and these standards. And part of that is exactly what you said. Like, we don't want bad characters in our profession because it makes us all look bad. So if we're all aligning ourselves behind this code of ethics, living against it, both personally and professionally, then it will elevate us all. But that's just speaking for IDEA. But at World Active, one of our pillars is focused around universal standards and starting with the roles we know today, which are personal trainer, group instructor, those are recognized by the government. They have a job code. But beyond that, we know that our space is expanding and there's lots of roles that maybe either aren't recognized by the government or that we need to clean up and tighten up terminology so that we can not confuse the public. I mean, the worst is that we make up all these names for doing the same job, and then it confuses the public and it confuses the consumer, and others who aren't in our space get very confused about our credentialing process and et cetera. So that is part of our mission with World Active is to bring all these continents to a universal standard.
That's great.
There is, at the moment, it is down because we're getting a revamp. The organization is in its third year and we are working with World Health Organization. The URL is world-active.com, but I believe it's down at this moment. When are we
Okay.
talking? In April, early April, but it will be back up shortly. Please check it out and see what our initiatives are and see if you work with an association, if you are an association, you're welcome to become a member, to get involved and learn more about all these important things that we're working on.
If people want to learn more about Idea Fit and becoming a member or obtaining benefits, where should they look?
So go to ideafit.com. It's IDEAFIT.com. That is also our handle on all the social media channels. So if you go to Idea Fit in Facebook and LinkedIn, in Instagram, in where are we? YouTube, in X, in TikTok. We're Idea Fit across all of our channels. And then I love to connect with people in LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my absolute fave. And I'm Amy Boone Thompson in LinkedIn.
Great. Well, I'll make sure I put that in the description as well. And it has been such a pleasure to speak with you, Amy. And I'm just so impressed with all the work that you are doing on behalf of Idea Fit, on behalf of the World Active, and the wellness industry in general. So thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you. And thanks for having me today.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Law Podcast. You can find more wellness law resources by visiting the Center for Health and Wellness Law website at www.wellnesslaw.com, where you can also subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media. Until the next episode, stay well, stay hopeful, and stay legal.